It's a brand new day, and we'll be making history. Are you with me? Won't you stay? We have come so far. This is who we are. And like the rising sun, we have just begun to play our part. This is the time we form the chorus. Lift your voice for those before us. We can rely on one another. Feel the pride, let's show our colors. We are heroes and dreamers. We are restless believers.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time it is, wherever you are. This is Gail of Gaia, and this is Free Range, where we graze on wild ideas, and we have wonderful guests. And I have with me today Michelle Marie Angel, excuse me, for our Soul Talk Saturday. Come on, welcome.
Hi, Gail.
Hello, welcome. I'm sorry, I'm having a little bit of a cough here for some reason, so excuse me. What a great way to start the show. Anyway, welcome everyone. I hope we have listeners out there. Michelle and I are going to talk about truth, love, and unity, and everything in between. And so why don't you go ahead and expand a little bit, because we looked at some of the chapters in your books.
Yeah. One of them that you looked up was in Forever Free, and it's called Truth is Soul Food. And the I believe it was the second the second section of my book Forever Free is about the Great Awakening to Truth. And basically what I'm seeing happening is right now during these times, more and more people are awakening to the truth, and they're bringing us together. And, some people that before they might have been still following mainstream media, or they didn't really have a clue that there was something really wrong in the world. And, it's sort of business as usual. And it's not business as usual anymore. People are saying, oh no, something's wrong. And more people are saying something's wrong. So then they start researching and investigating, and also praying more and going to God. So there's like this revival, and people are like hungry for the truth. Like, we don't want to be deceived. We want to really know what's going on. And things are a little fishy, aren't they?
Oops, yes, they are. And this is where people need to connect with their heart, because truth creates a feeling, a heart resonance. You know, and then you have to listen to your cues on that.
Oh, you know what? When you just said that, that reminded me of something. It's let's see. I think it's here we go. I think it's this one, integrity. Yes. The first quote under integrity is, in our minds, we see possibilities. In our hearts, we know the truth. It's a different intelligence, because the mind can think of many different things and see many possibilities. But in the hearts, there's a singularity. It's like a unity consciousness singularity where the heart knows the truth. And I think that's where people are developing heart intelligence, and that's where they're getting their discernment and more intuition nowadays. And then they use that intuition and discernment when they're doing research. And then they're sort of guided, to go down different paths of research.
Spirit will guide people if they ask.
Yeah.
And all they have to do is ask. And when we go into our heart, that's what we do. We can ask, and you will be surprised at what appears before you, or how these coincidental links or findings or whatever. It happens to me all the time. And
yeah. And different people talk about, oh, I remember when I first woke up. And so people like remember going through the Great Awakening when it's like a switch turned on or something. And I think you and I have mentioned this before, but when I first started learning, there's more out there than what we've been told. I was staying up late, and I've heard other people say this too, researching for hours, and I couldn't
get enough when I first
no, and
started.
I didn't want to go to sleep at night, even though I had to get up and go to work early. I remember somebody that came to my class said the same thing. It was like, you start researching, that's like being hungry for the truth.
Yes, definitely. And I'm seeing it in more and more people all the time. So it just brings me absolute delight to see this, because I feel it too. There are more that are waking up. There are more that are questioning things. And, we still have some sleepers, but more of them are waking up.
Yeah.
Wiping out their eyes and going, what?
And there's evidence of that. And that's the great thing. People wonder what's happening. Well, it's a combination of the evolution of humanity and of our individual souls and of our collective consciousness. So we are evolving. The collective consciousness is evolving. And then individually, we're evolving and waking up. And so more and more people are waking up. And the evidence is, and this was brought up on another channel, which I'll mention in a minute, but recently there have been some agendas being pushed, and the vast majority fight back. And the example is, for example, Bud Light. They had some kind of woke philosophy.
My son was going around telling, don't buy Bud Light. Don't buy Bud Light.
Yeah. And so, they tanked in their their stock market and everything. And then the same thing recently with the Tucker Carlson firing, and same thing.
Oh, did that go the opposite way they expected?
Yeah. Now, isn't that evidence that like there's a majority of people that, are in tune with the truth, in tune with God values, in tune with each other, unified? We are unified.
And, oh my God, to have someone in the media that had position and following that wants to come out with the truth.
Yeah.
What more could we ask for?
Exactly.
That way, some of the ones that are still sleeping, if it comes, well, he's not going to be on the mainstream media, but they know of him, which makes a big difference. So they'll find him.
Yeah. And the thing is, with the majority awakened, I mean, just being out in public, you can hear people talk about different things to be awake to. Like just the other day, I was out and I overheard somebody telling somebody else about the central bank digital currency, which is the Fed now, and what they want to do in terms of the social credit scores and being in control. And he was explaining that to someone, and I was just overhearing it. And I said, I know about that. That is not going to happen. There's too many people awake. People are not going to buy into it.
And it's supposed to be connected to the Federal Reserve, which is going down fast, if not already.
Well, that's also the central bankers. I mean, It's a private corporation. Federal Reserve is a, deception. It's not federal.
Exactly. It's not government even. It's a private company. And that's what people are finding out about a lot of our country. Most of our so-called governments are all corporations, and they have a Dun and Bradstreet number.
Right. And I like what they've always said about the Federal Reserve is no more federal than Federal Express. And
that's a good one. And that's true too.
That it is.
That name.
I brought that information into my high school students back in around 2008, 2009, 2010, that era. And I even had an observation, which is where one of the assistant principals comes in, and you have to get observed every once in a while. It's just part of
they didn't like what you were saying?
They did.
Oh, they did. Oh, good.
They did,
Okay.
actually. But here's the thing. The guy that came in, he was a beloved assistant principal. But when the deep state came in, when we got infiltrated, he was from the community. They got rid of all the people from the community and brought their own people in. They corporatized the schools, which are supposed to be government and community run. They corporatize them a department at a time, and they will get their public-private partnerships, like to take over the food service, or to take over, they'd get into the school board, they would get into, and then they would get their people in. And it was like, I watched when it was happening. And at the time, I didn't know, we were being infiltrated. I just called it, in my own words, it feels like there's takeover energy. I just called it takeover energy. And if you didn't go along with
that's basically what it was.
with their script, you would get ridiculed, called out, harassed. And it didn't matter if you were tenured or anything. I saw people that really got harassed, and I mean, really bad. I mean, lost their jobs, lost their position, everything.
For what reason? Because they
didn't go along. You have to like toe the line and go along. Like, they were bringing in their MK Ultra stuff, for one thing. They showed us a movie in the faculty, a movie in the cafeteria showing some foreign country school being taken over by these terrorists. And and then we had active shooter drills, and we were supposed to be afraid. So it was that programming with fear thing. I'm not kidding. And they even said, oh, Al Qaeda is going to come and get one of the schools in Oregon. We have to be prepared. They were really trying to instill us with fear. I am not kidding.
Well, no, that is their main tool. That is how they warp our minds so that we don't think straight, so that we get caught up in the fear, and we until we transmute that fear into love and understanding as much as we possibly can. And that may be a task at times, but nonetheless, fear is really bad. It just makes it easier for them to control you. And then people are giving up their rights left and right, left and right, left and right. Well, you can't get them back once you've given them away.
No, and that's the thing about spirituality. And someone actually put a comment, and she said, I'm glad you said that. My husband doesn't understand when you awaken. I'm searching for the truth. I started with politics, and now it's all about my spirituality. And that is so true, because when you
that's what happened to me too.
Yeah, when you feel that sovereign soul feeling, and feel our unalienable rights from God, our source, you just don't give that up. You just feel like, you're not going to take away my freedom.
There was something that I read recently too, and I had to think about it a little bit, because it's really true. Those unalienable rights come from God. They don't come from the Constitution. And I'm not knocking that, but it's my understanding that the Bill of Rights are more important to us as a people than the Constitution. Not that I'm not putting that down in any way, but the Bill of Rights is critical. Well, and so is the original Constitution.
In the Pledge of Allegiance, they talk about one nation under God. So they basically set everything in alignment with God. In all of the documents, we are in alignment with God. We are a God-based country. We have.
I don't know what's happened lately.
Well, that's why we have to fight for our rights. We can't let people play with words, or play with our sovereignty, or
agendas.
Like 9/11 and that law they passed. After they deceived people and did that operation on 9/11. And then they passed that. What was that?
The Patriot Act, or is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, the Patriot Act. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. So
very bad.
We're gonna reverse that, because everybody's waking up and knowing that we've been deceived. It will not stand.
And you know what? The Congresses, they've been passing that every year to keep it going. They have renewed it and renewed it and renewed it. They haven't had the decency or the foresight to stop it.
Where they're about to be ousted too, because they've also been infiltrated. I mean, how many people have gotten monies from pharmaceutical companies and special interests, and whose bidding are they doing?
Or
Ours,
George
or are they lining
Soros.
their own pockets? That's rhetorical, by the way.
Yeah. So true. You know what? Could I read your wonderful poem, Truth is Soul Food?
Oh yes, I love it when you read my poetry. I don't think you've done that the last few shows.
No,
Yay!
I have to say I haven't read all the way through. I just read the title right now, and but I want to read it. So
Okay.
Because it just fits with what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Truth is soul food, and Michelle wrote this quite a while ago, wasn't it? But anyway,
Yeah, I've written the book, the poems in Forever Free. I've written over a 20-year period.
wow. Okay, and they're wonderful. So, truth is soul food. Hungry, thirsty souls abound, like babies crying all around. Bring some comfort, bring some food, bring some joy to lighten the mood. Inspire awakening through truth revelation, rekindle light of inner constellation. Activate potential with deeper perception, open portal of soul's reception. Open hearts, heal with compassion, reveal the gifts the soul's been stashing. Purify the vessel gently, dear, fine tune perception crystal clear. Have more meals of truth's presence, have a feast on absolute essence. Get that heart sensor calibrated to perfection. Align all choices with truth selection. Listen deeply, feel truth more, satisfying, fulfilling to the core. Truth completes all desires, quenching thirsts, outer fires. Thank our truth is soul food, akin to love, connecting, bonding below with above. Love grows stronger with truth expressed, so fulfilled in peaceful rest. That's beautiful, and so true in so many ways. Um, Everybody's souls need that. And as we get into more and more truth, we will have more and more love. We will have more and more abilities. We'll have a beautiful life that we never thought was possible.
I like what you said about fine tuning, because in our perception, because I believe that every single one of us on this journey of awakening are fine tuning our perceptions, increasing our discernment, and get more and more aligned with our souls. And it's our soul perception that knows the absolute truth as opposed to relative truth. You know, we are awakened to the truth within, which, you know, that's where we get that resonant feeling, and that's where we get cognitive dissonance if it doesn't resonate, you know, and that gives people that funny feeling if things don't sound right or true.
And they have to listen to that feeling, because truth relates to a feeling.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah.
you will resonate with it, and if you all of a sudden go, you got to pay attention to that. I have to remind myself of that all the time. But it's very important, and it's
Feeling is the language of the soul, and feeling is the realm of vibration and magnetism. And so that's the deep part of the soul. We're all electromagnetic.
yes,
You know, the brain and the mind is more electric, and the heart is more magnetic. And, you know, all together, we are light beings, electromagnetic, photonic beings. And we're discovering all these different levels or dimensions of intelligence, which, you know, we have, and we have them to develop them. And part of the Great Awakening is that development on the path of awakening. And it really feels good to evolve and to evaluate truth, because
yes.
you know, as we know by now, we have been programmed. You know,
Yes, that's a topic we need to talk about. The programming is where
by
the
television,
dissonance.
intuition, institutions, you know, whether it's churches, schools, you know, corporations, you know, media. We have been programmed, and we have to recognize and step up our game in terms of critical thinking. So critical thinking is absolutely required nowadays, and it should be taught in school. But very few of us actually, look at information in a critical way. I actually did with my students. I would have them compare 3 movies, for example, and I would ask them, what information are they presenting? What do they want you to believe? Why do they want you to believe that? In other words, who are they? Where do they get their money? And that's what people are looking at now.
And that's absolutely critical, if I might add, during for research concerning all of the things that are going on now. When you get into research, you need to look at the methodology and who funded the research, because a lot of time it's going to say whoever funded the research exactly what they want. Because what happens is, if the scientist doesn't get the results that they want,
there goes the funding.
There goes the funding, or they go back to the lab and they better come up with the right results, or they're done. And so is their funding, just like you said.
And speaking of which, Judy Mikovits wouldn't back down, and she not only got her funding pulled, they put her in jail. They're like, no, you can't tell the truth. Oh, no.
Yeah, I love Judy. I've had her on the show. She's a real light warrior, and she doesn't stop. She's the Energizer Bunny. She just keeps going.
I know. God bless her.
And that's wonderful. And I feel the same way about Carrie Cassidy.
Yes.
She is just putting so much out there, and I'm seeing her all around, all over the place. And I'm looking forward to having her on next week. And I think I'm going to go in the direction of the spiritual stuff and get her.
You know what? I think more and more people are doing that. They're talking more and more about spiritual. It's not that we're still not still researching the truth. It's just that we know that this journey is actually a spiritual journey. And the more we feel the essence of our soul and come from that place, the more we know that we're not going to give up our freedom. We're not going to give up our freedom, our sovereignty, our free will choice, our freedom of speech, our freedom of, being able to share information, share resources, and so forth.
They are actually able to implant thoughts in people's minds.
Yeah.
And that has been the problem for waking people up when it comes to mainstream media and the TVs, because there's actually, mind control programs in the TV. There's things that you don't see that are there. I guess you see them in the quantum field. I don't know. Do you know how to explain that?
Well, what I do know in terms of deception, they use technology. There's synthetic telepathy. There's voice to skull, where they implant, thoughts in people, which is much easier if you've had technology put into your bloodstream, for one.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, but it's also frequency. So that's another reason people on the path of awakening evolution are saying, raise your frequency high. And you do that by...
You're not as susceptible to negative things or to the programming if you do.
Exactly. And then also there's a warning, though, to use protection, because when you're being the light and the darkness doesn't like light, they can attack. And, and they do, they've done many things to people who are really, really bright lights, and so protection is very, very necessary. Spiritual protection.
Look at what they did to Julian Assange. Telling the truth, trying to put truth out there. As soon as he put some truth out about the Afghanistan war, or was it some other? I don't know. But anyway, right to jail he went. Horrific, really is.
A lot of truth tellers. I mean, they're the heroes of our time.
Yes.
And many people risk their lives to tell the truth and to continue telling the truth. And, so many people that we know, including Carrie and, I want to name all the names, but we know that they have their, they get harassed. They get their lives threatened.
Their channels get taken down.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Hello.
Yeah, and and it's just sink or swim.
Yeah.
I'm swimming away.
So I have
Anyway.
another one that either you can read it or I'll read it because I like when you read things. And it's called, you just tell me because I've got it open if you want me to do it or you can. It's called Feed the Hungry Souls, and it's on page 50 of Forever Free.
Page 50.
Page 50, Forever Free. And it's called Feed the Hungry Souls. And I think people are hungry for truth, and people are hungry for righteousness, and people are hungry for that very close spiritual connection.
I couldn't agree more. And I suppose you have that all in this poem. I'd be happy to read it.
Oh, yay.
Feed the hungry souls, hearts yearning, desires burning, trying to understand. Weather trumping, politicians stomping all across the land. Rapid changes, rearranges, changes all the norms. Once neglecting, now protecting life in all its forms. Stop reaction, take some action, feed the hungry soul. Reach up above, give some love. Make this the only goal. Soul expresses, God bless, angels intervene, fear releasing, love increasing, truth is always seen. Soul impression, immaculate conception, Christ is born again. Holy Spirit, love can hear it, peace has entered in. You got some great poetry.
You're hired. You are so hired. I just have to capture you and take you everywhere I go.
Why? To read it?
Yes.
Oh.
Then I can listen.
Oh yeah, instead of okay.
Yeah, and
I enjoy reading your poems because they speak. And what's this? Lenny D says PayPal can fine you for saying the wrong thing. Carrie Cass got burnt on that one.
Yeah, yeah.
I didn't hear about that. Please inform me. I'm not. That one I didn't know about.
Well, they're sort of a woke company, and I remember they started doing things to other people, and I had a PayPal account for years, and I dropped them. I canceled them, and I have a Gab account, and I wrote the instructions on how to cancel PayPal. And there's other payment systems. There's
Well, I've had a lot of trouble with PayPal. I get a lot of messages from people that said that they tried to donate and they couldn't, and I'm going, oh no. But so something's up with that, and I don't know what it is exactly, but here, Lenny. Okay, she's saying another thing. Let's put that up there for her. They can fine you $2,500 for saying something they didn't like.
Yes, that's what I heard. Isn't that ridiculous? Yes.
That is insane. And I would drop them like a hot potato if they tried to find me, and they would be lucky if they ever got a dime.
Well, what you can do is you can diversify, and you can get more than one payment system. You can get a Stripe account. You can get.
I got a Stripe account.
Cornerstone payment system.
Kofi is the other one I have. But I'd like to get the one that you have too for what is that one? Give, Send, Go.
Give, Send, Go. Yeah. Well, they actually they use Stripe. They're not a payment platform.
Really?
It's a fundraising platform, and I get that through my Stripe account. But there is Cornerstone payment system.
I could use some fundraising, I'll tell you what. But Cornerstone, I haven't heard of that one.
Yeah, that's an actual payment system. I looked up different like conservative companies, and Cornerstone was listed as a conservative company. So, because now the companies are stating what their values are. In fact, I heard that Dan Bongino launched a payment thing, but it was actually through Cornerstone because of these
I'm familiar with that one.
anybody adhering to woke agendas, or so if they don't like what you're saying and they can charge you 2,500, well, you know what their values are. It's not the truth.
Yeah, really. Wow, I didn't know that one.
Mm-hmm.
I've for the most part, I haven't had any problems with them, and of course, I have a business PayPal. I don't know how much difference that makes, but um,
Well, maybe you haven't got caught or done anything that made them mad, but I always stand for my beliefs. And when I saw that they did that to someone else, I was like, well, they're not going to have my business either.
mhm,
And they never did anything to me. I just saw what they stood for,
mhm,
and or what they were doing to people. And so I kind of took a stand for what I believed was right by quitting them.
mhm, mhm.
As you know, I take stands and take action.
I may have to look into that. um, I use it for a lot of business transactions, so it requires a great deal of changeover. So, but anyway, it is the way it is right now. But I understand that. I think all of these corporations that have been screwing people or have been um, messing with the public's right to free speech, which they are doing everything in their power to say, you haven't got free speech. You better say what we think is right, or you're not saying it, period. And they have been responsible for the demise of millions of people because of that.
But just think of all the innovative solutions also. There are other platforms. Some people, just will not
It's
use.
like YouTube, they censor.
Yeah, some people wouldn't use YouTube for anything in the world now because of that's what they are. They show their true colors, and so they're using everything but. And there's so many platforms now that besides YouTube, and I know it works for some people, but at least diversify, which you have. You have Rumble and you have Odyssey and you have other channels.
They're my uncensored channels. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
you have diversified. So, that's one solution right there. Yeah.
mhm. Well, I did. People thought I should be able to. It took me a while to open another YouTube channel. So I do have one. I know you have one. Um, but I'm more interested in people sticking with the Rumble channel more so than the YouTube, only because I can't speak freely on YouTube unless it's taken over and made to comply with the people's will, not their will, but the people's will, because they're a public forum. It doesn't make any sense. But anyway,
I did have a video taken down on YouTube, and it's interesting because, uh, well, let's see.
we had ours taken down too. That one, I don't know. I don't remember what.
Yeah,
Was
that's
said.
right. The video that we made.
Yep.
There's a poem that I wrote called "The Truth Is Coming Out Today," and I don't want to read the whole poem, but I just want to read the first stanza because it has something to do with YouTube, if it's okay.
Oh, with that, yeah. Go ahead.
Okay. The truth is coming out today. The truth I've been observing is getting me down. I've seen deception, death, and disease all around. I've seen chemtrails and war and families torn. I've seen poverty and greed and GMO corn. I've seen police lies that mock the truth. I've seen traps and limitations put forth for our youth. And the poem goes on about demanding change, and I'll say a positive part later after all that. But the part where it says, I've seen police lies that mock the truth. And I'm not talking about police in general. I'm talking about my personal experience.
Well, interestingly enough, I've had that experience too. So go
Yeah.
ahead.
So, I was briefly, I was in a situation where I was taking pictures walking down the street, and they took my camera, searched my purse, manhandled me, literally harmed me physically, and then lied to cover up their crime, saying that I went and showed pictures on my phone to the other police officer. And the other police officer, they wrote affidavits corroborating this lie. And I read their affidavits, and I actually had pictures of myself after I'd been to the hospital, and both my wrists were bandaged. and it was an ordeal that lasted well over a year. I ended up going pro se because my lawyer was not really on my side. It was like one of those networks. And so I got out of it. But that was my personal experience of seeing police lights. I made a video out of the pictures and stuff I took of that scene with those policemen, and I had it on YouTube. And it was called Police Brutality in Durango, Colorado. And YouTube took it down. They didn't take my channel down, but they took down that video.
You should get it again and put it up on Rumble.
I have that video. I have that video
on Rumble, because that's why all of this defund the police came up, because there is a good share of police brutality and lying out there.
There are some bad ones.
Because of quotas, because they want to excel or advance in their career, and they lose regard for the human that they're dealing with, how much they can ruin their entire life. You get somebody put in jail, they lose everything. They lose their car, they lose their house, they lose it all.
It's abuse of power. And like you said, they have quotas, because that's slavery. The for-profit prison system, which I learned about, which I believe was my soul's purpose, was to learn about the for-profit prison system
and the money trail.
It's money, and they get kickbacks for reaching their quotas and putting people in jail so that they can have slave labor. They use those for everything from making products for Starbucks to plane reservations for American Airlines. Anybody could look it up online. Which companies use slave labor from the prisons? Look it up, and you'll get a list of companies. And I avoid those companies like the plague.
I knew somebody that was in prison, and probably on false charges, it seemed. And there's a lot of that too, because they will manufacture evidence in order to get their conviction, because that's where their quota is, that's where their money is, that's where their kickbacks are, and all that sort of thing. So I've seen that. I
just want to say there are good ones.
Of course,
there are these ex-police officers that I learned about, and they were like called the Archangels for Justice or something like that. And what they did, their whole life purpose was going after the bad policemen.
Mm-hmm. And sticking. Well, that's good, and they take a big risk by doing that too.
I know.
But you know what? If they eliminated qualified immunity, they would be much more careful what they do.
Yeah.
Well, right now you can shoot somebody and get away with it.
Well, that's why
we in the back.
We talk, people talk, we expose the truth. I mean, they were brutal in that area. They got my friend Ellie down in handcuffs, face down on the ground, and she's 80 years old, and she just hadn't paid her registration on time, and that was a physical brutality, physical assault. And just because she didn't harm anybody, it was an administrative.
No victim, no crime. That's the problem of everything being a for-profit system. They all get kickbacks. Prosecutors get kickbacks. Judges get kickbacks. I'm sorry to say this, but why do you think the United States has more people incarcerated than all other Western countries combined? It's because of the money trail, not because of justice. It doesn't even have anything to do with justice. It has to do with quotas and money and career advancements. I'm sorry to say.
All the institutions being corrupted, the court system, the justice system, it's their good old boys network. It's the Just Us system. They take it over and they put their enemies in jail. So you're right. It's not about justice or criminals. It's like the opposite day thing that we see going on now. It's the criminals that are putting the good people in jail. And we know that by now. And that's part of the Great Awakening. We're learning about all of that corruption. It's becoming so obvious nowadays, really obvious.
Just like the guy that, I can't think of his name right now, Kerry Cassidy interviews in prison, who was set up for murder.
Oh,
and has a wealth of information. Captain Mark Richards, is that it?
yes.
I got
Yeah,
it.
yeah. She's
Just came.
interviewed him over 20 times, I think she said.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
yeah. She gets good intel from him. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. And that's the thing too. They're the truth tellers are lucky if they get put in jail and not murdered in a way.
Exactly. Yeah. Now, and yeah, she's 10 years ago, they had a greater chance of getting murdered. I think now they're a little bit, can be a little more open. Let's see what Lenny has to say. What are you saying, Lenny? That was a joke in Europe for years. America, the land of the free, but all our prisoners are slaves. Yeah, that was a slogan: "Land of the free, home of the brave, home of the brave, land of the free." What a joke! Um, we're not free here. um, yeah, it's but we're working on it. We're going to get free. People are waking up. Everybody is wondering, why isn't America waking up? What's taking them so
They are.
long?
Please say they're waking up more and more, because that is truly what's happening. That is true. Yeah.
Are you talking to me? Say that.
Yeah. Please say that people are waking up, that they're not.
Oh, they definitely are. I mean, I
Yeah,
can
yeah,
see it. I can see it. I was very concerned about it for a period
yeah,
of time, though, because they
yeah.
were hitting the streets out in Europe and different places like that. And I'm going, when are they going to see it
Well,
here? But
we
we've
just
always
had
had that advantage of the Second Amendment.
we did it in a different way. We were going after school boards and boards of commissioners, and some of us were going after the district attorneys and the sheriffs, and getting together in groups and protesting outside hospitals, and we just had a different way. I've been in protests around this town. I have this sign I made up. I was just thinking about it today, because where they're actually doing skippity doo dah today downtown Sarasota at the Bayfront. That's the exact same place where a bunch of us got together, and we took we were protesting vaccine mandates, and we made our own signs and gathered together there. And some people were honking their horns, other people were like treating us badly, but we had our say, and we had information on our signs that probably helped some people start to question what was going on. It was early on. It was way early on.
And right now, the good thing about it is, if you plant seeds like that, you really get some people thinking.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's beautiful.
And I think it really worked, because even some of my own relatives wouldn't get any more jabs after a certain point. They were like, oh, no, not anymore. I heard this, I heard that. It did get around. It did make a difference.
Yeah, that's why people need to talk to each other again.
Yeah. Well,
I didn't finish what I was going to say about my friend who was in prison, and that was that he would work while he was in there, and they would prefer to work because you get bored to death, I'm sure, and it was paid 35 cents an hour. Some people were paid less.
That's slave labor.
You bet it is. So get more people in those jails. You get the legislators working the law enforcement and judges and say, well, we need more money. We need you to, we need to make these sentences mandated, and here in Arizona, no matter how good your, what do they call it? Good behavior or what have you, you do 85% of your sentence regardless. And they give extremely long sentences here. And one of the sayings in Arizona was, go to vacation in Arizona and leave on probation. So
wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I think
it's hard to get out. They try to isolate you from your family.
Yep.
And they try to keep that slave labor as long as they can. And they charge you for all kinds of things, phone calls. They make it really hard for your relatives to communicate.
Oh my God, yes. They charge very high prices for the phone. Now they have a tablet, and it's charged at a rate. Remember back when we used to, when they first brought out stuff and you had to pay for the number of minutes, not only on your phone, but on, YouTube time or anything like that. That was quite a while ago, but anyway, it's very expensive, and it's and then if they want to get anything from the commissary, so they don't have to eat green bologna and slop, essentially.
Yeah.
from what I've been told. And they also, I've had a number of former inmates say that in the kitchens they have boxes of not for human consumption chicken and meat and so on to save money. Um, so they get to profit from as much as they get for every prisoner every month, and it's a lot. It's a lot.
Well, I'd say let's focus on solutions as always. And there's a couple solutions I can think of right off the bat. If everybody would look up the companies or corporations that use prison labor and boycott those companies, just like Bud Light, just like everyone else that goes woke, goes broke, find out who they are and don't spend your money with them. That's one thing. For another thing, raise awareness. We have a slave system called for-profit systems in America. Find out who's getting kickbacks. You know, we all have a life purpose. I believe that there are people out there that it is their purpose to advocate for getting these prisoners out and exposing the system. You know, we could, you know, people could research that. There's another rabbit hole we could go down.
That's a rabbit hole that I've been waiting for somebody to go down to. I've gone down it a little bit, and I've had some, you know, experience like similar to what you'd have, and I would love to interview somebody because I'd love to know the specifics of the money trails and the big rabbit hole that hasn't really been gone. And the reason for that is, in my opinion, my humble opinion, is because they're inmates. We've been programmed to believe they're the criminals, they're the bad guys, and I'm not saying that there's not some that are that way, but the vast majority, I don't think so.
Yeah, no.
And if we didn't have the financial strife in the lower economic areas, we wouldn't have the problems that we have.
Well, slave labor, corporations using prisoners at low costs is wrong. And it's happening right here in America. If people wake up to that fact, get our justice systems cleaned out, you know, there have been judges exposed and removed from the bench and put in jail for doing that. There are good people that are weeding out these types of systems, and the people that put people in jail that don't belong in jail, including juveniles.
Definitely, yeah. And then they send the juveniles as soon as they turn 18. They'll send them to a adult prison when they're 18 years old.
Yeah. So solutions are exposure, and don't buy things from those corporations that use slave labor. I know that when I heard that Starbucks was on the list, I quit going. You know, in fact, I have a gift card that I haven't even used because
I know Starbucks is a satanic organization.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. So let me read something positive from this, because I hate to just the whole poem turned.
Okay, let's turn it around.
Let's turn it around.
But exposure is important.
It is. It really is. I'll just read this, and people can sit back and actually feel the passion that I wrote this with, because this is us in our great awakening. It's not just me, it's us, you know, this passion that's coming forth out of our hearts. So here we go. I demanded change from the core of my being. My heart opened wide to the higher vision we're seeing. I saw God's gifts pouring in from heaven, lifting us up like bread that's been leavened. All it took was one powerful prayer. All it took was one heart that cared. I made a plan to take a stand. I got attuned to God's divine plan. I asked for the purpose and demanded answers too. I wondered while communing, what could I do? With heart open wide, the Holy Spirit spoke. With treasures within, I knew I wasn't broke. Like lightning at dawn, I saw genius rising. Then I saw the change that would crack the horizon. All over the world, I saw people uniting with love and kindness. Their acts were inviting, welcoming all to the love revolution, awakened awareness, consciousness, evolution. And here's where you come in. With messages of love, the internet was plastered, creating higher vibrations as thoughts were mastered. Peace pockets were formed in cooperative communities. New families were formed with heartfelt unity. All of Mother Earth's kingdoms related as brothers. All dimensions were united as we included all others. I followed my heart to this higher vision. Pouring out love is now our life's mission. Together now, we're taking a stand. Our hearts are open and we're lending a hand. Upliftment, compassion, a sweet look in our eyes. Compassionate hearts made it, a peaceful planet, our prize. The love from human hearts is lighting the world. Acceptance, understanding, compassion unfurled. New perceptions from explored inner space. Cooperative solutions all over the place. The sun in our hearts is shining soul's ray. Revelations of truth are coming out today. All it took was one united prayer. All it took was connected hearts that cared.
Ah, that's all we have to do, people, and it starts with you.
Which we're uniting, and we're all doing it together, really, talking about it.
See, what people don't I've heard somebody, maybe you could explain this, that really objected the idea that we're all one. It's like, I don't want to consider myself one with somebody that's really dark over there or what have you. What would you say to that?
I would say we're one in spirit. And if you think about it, spirit is the light of consciousness. There's one light of consciousness. There's also one sun that we all share. Well, what can you do with the sun? You can grow food. You can use it all for positive things. And when the light comes out, you can see the truth. When it's dark, that's when more crimes take place, right? In the dark, when people can hide. So when the light comes out and we share the sun, basically food comes from the sun. And so there's good people and bad people, but we all eat food, right? So the same thing, we're one in spirit. You can, it's like a tool. You can use a knife to cut up vegetables or cut up food and make something, or you can use a knife to harm people. So the choice is what you do with that. So we're all one in spirit. We can choose to use that infinite intelligence of God for goodness, love, compassion, mercy, grace, forgiveness, and do good in the world and share. Or we can be selfish. But then if you are selfish, you are diminishing your light and you end up getting dim. In other words, less intelligence. And so the brighter you are, the more intelligent and loving you are, the more you receive light from within. And so those people that are evil get truly dim within and they get stupid. I mean, have you ever heard that saying, these people are stupid? So they are.
Yes, I have.
And right now, these people are stupid, are making stupid mistakes. They're falling all over themselves. Everything is a boomerang. And, if you can't see some of the stupidity, and sometimes we just have to laugh, and how many people laugh at the so-called resident nowadays, I mean, if that's not the biggest joke in the world, I don't know what is. But, so.
Way back when, in one of my very old videos, and I guess it would have been a little after 2020, I actually did a show that showed the fake inauguration.
Oh, right. So, but does that make sense? We're all one in spirit. We all have that.
Yes, I do. I like that. That's really good because that takes away gender and all that other stuff too when you're in spirit.
Right. But that light within, when we actually do pay attention to it and we follow our conscience, it makes it grow and it makes us stronger and it makes us become the light. I am the light. I am the truth. I am the way. That's every single one of God's children. We are the light.
We are. See, we are God's children, just like Yeshua was,
Absolutely.
So, but most people don't think that way. And one of the purposes of this show, as I see it, is just like Yeshua said, going within and learning your divine essence that you have and were endowed with from the creator of all that is. You can't ask for much more than that. We're a very special group of people, humanity is.
Yeah. I just love him. I mean, he tells us, the same Father in me is the Father in you, and heaven is within, and the kingdom of the soul is like that field that you find, and you would sell everything in the world to have that field, because that's where the riches are, and it's that kingdom within where you are in touch with your soul, your divine spark, your connection with God, and I've mentioned this before, but I do meditate every day, and I had this really cool experience this last week with Yeshua. I was reading a story. I read lots of things, stories from him and about him and so forth. And I read this one in this, there's a series of books called The Life and Teachings of the Masters of the Far East. And I was reading a chapter, and I believe it was in book 3. And he was saying the word God carries a vibration. It's a high vibration of light. The word God itself.
Really?
He was making several points about that. One, he said you can't think or say the word God too much because there's this light. He said, say God, God, and then try to say or think something evil, and you can't. It has a light. It has a vibration. It has a radiation.
Interesting.
It has a radiation. And if you think of the word radiation and the light and the vibration of God, now everyone's trying to raise their vibration. If you want to raise your vibration, say God. And as a matter of fact, David Hawkins, in his book, said you can raise your vibration just by saying or thinking the name Jesus Christ. And so, besides gratitude and all these other tools, you can have words that carry the light and a high vibration. And he was saying the Bible has lasted all this time in spite of, some people might misinterpret it or use it the wrong way or something.
There's things in it that are, I mean, there's missing chapters, there's
Yeah,
edit.
but what Yeshua said, look how long it's lasted. No matter what anybody says about the Bible, it's still here. And it's still in wide distribution.
That's because there's enough light in it for that to happen.
There's so much light in it. And anyway, so he was basically relaying this information. And I thought, that is so cool. The next day, it's like he was carrying on this information to me and for me. And then I heard, look in your book. I read the same thing over again, which I do sometimes. The word God carries a high vibration. So I was flipping through my book, Live Love, and this one, and well, I'm sure it's in all of them. But I was flipping through this book, Live Love, and it was talking about God and explaining God and tools and God, and I was like, wow, I never thought of that. The light, like my intuition, my guides told me there are light transmissions in these books, not just words, not just, understanding, but there's light transmissions as well. And I didn't really understand it to that point until I read that story from Yeshua in the Life and Teachings of the Masters of the Far East. And I was like, wow, that makes me feel like these are even more valuable than I realized, because there's actual light vibration, from the words and from that word in particular. Mm-hmm. So
are you familiar with Kimberly Palm?
No.
Well, I may have to make that connection at some point in time. She gets transmissions from Yeshua, Mother Mary, and Mary Magdalene all the time, all her life, ever since she was little. She's a healer. She's written a book, Walking with Yeshua and Mary.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, when I do readings, I will say that I I have the essence of Mother Mary comes through and delivers messages. Hmm.
Mhm.
And I have found material things all over and have been giving things with Mother Mary, pendants and all kinds of things, like, her presence in my life and in my heart, and is extremely prevalent and comes through, like I said, when I give readings.
Cool. That's awesome. So that you have your books and you have readings that you do, and all that information is in the description for anybody that would like to purchase one of Michelle's books. They're wonderful. There's so many. They're just really good. You would enjoy them. And then you have classes too, right? And we got the so all of that is in the description, so you can look
Yeah.
up yourself.
And I want to say something too, because yes, the books are helpful, and the classes and readings are helpful, but I have 3 websites, and there is so much information for free. I have so much stuff out there for free: articles, audiobook excerpts, audiobooks. Oh yeah, that one. So I put things out for free because in my heart, I really just want to help and be of service. And so,
Same here.
and I know, I was a single mom, and I know what it's like to be on a budget. And so, and I noticed, like sometimes people try to sell the spiritual stuff. And I remember one time somebody offered me a class about being financially free, and it cost $2,500.
Yeah. Excuse me. I have to laugh at that, but that always cracks me up.
Yeah,
I've seen so many of those scams.
$2,500 to be financially
Yeah.
free. And I said to her, well, I don't have $2,500. And she said, put it on your credit card. And I said, well, I don't use credit cards. I'm debt free. And so that's why I always want to impress upon people, you can see so much stuff for free on my website if you want to go, the free route, or even know, what you're getting into, if you're going to deal with the likes of this character.
and I was wondering, we had talked previously and we never did get to it, and I should have brought it up. There was something I wanted to do. I don't know if we still have time, like a decree.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to say belief barbecue, which we can do both of those.
Oh, we got that too. I forgot. So we still got time though. Okay.
Yeah, we're good. So I just want to say something about belief barbecue, and then we'll show that, and then we're going to do a decree, and then we're going to do it based on what we're talking about here. So the belief barbecue and the decree are going to be around the same type of message. We have been programmed to have certain beliefs, and even beliefs about ourselves. We may have low self-esteem or low self-worth, or think we don't deserve something or something like that, when in truth we have a lot of worth. We're children of God. Okay, so that right there makes us royalty. And and so belief barbecue means evaluating where your beliefs came from and attune to truth and become a conscious creator, and then create with putting your feelings and words together to create positive things instead of negative things. So barbecue means to burn up, transform, and use alchemy to get rid of all those false convictions or lower vibrations or lower self-worth. Get rid of all that, stand up, express your highest potential, be a conscious creator, and know that God wants you to manifest every good desire. He loves you. God is infinite energy, infinite source, infinite love, and you can have everything. You can partake of God's opulent supply. And that's one thing I've been working on, and I expect opulence to come into my life, and I feel it and I know it, and I've been practicing and using the powers of creation. And if you have a belief barbecue and there's energy that you're going to burn up, and you can use that energy for a new purpose, and it could be to create abundance. So if you want to play Belief Barbecue, it's one of my stories for Awakened Awareness, and they're not published yet, but there's a few out for free on audiobooks.
Okay, now this is on Rumble, and so I need to share the screen and Belief Barbecue. There it is. Share. And do you see it?
I can see it.
Okay. Now,
if you can try to make it full screen, that helps.
Oh, I could take us off if that's what you want.
Yeah, and there's that button on Rumble where you just make it full screen.
Q by Michelle Marie Angel. We are all releasing all outdated belief systems and attuning to truth. Having a belief barbecue is easy and fun. You don't need a grill, you just need the sun. The sun is the fire in your heart where it's hot. It tells you what is real and what is not. Get ready, get centered, and take a deep breath. Do nothing, just be, and let God do the rest. Just set your intention and direct your willpower. With love, you can purify your energy tower. Be one with our Mother and open to receive. Release what you need to. You won't for long grieve. Feel deep compassion for feelings lost deep. Find them and love them like a shepherd tending sheep. What messages or thought forms have they concealed? Let love bring you wholeness once truth is revealed. The child is the son that is resurrecting now. The Holy Spirit of truth is teaching him how. Looking back, notice grooves cut in the brain from non-serving ideas that cause so much pain. Here's one now that comes up for healing, an outdated belief connected to a deep feeling. When it comes to love, I can only serve it, but it's hard to receive because I don't deserve it. It's one thing to be loving to a sister or brother, but feeling lovable inside is quite another. Some experience occurred that sits in my being. By accepting it lovingly, I see truth I am freeing. With God and the angels and feeling them near, with new eyes I see it becoming more clear. There is no need to cast judgment or blame. With God's forgiveness, we aren't lost in shame. God, please help us, for this is the time. Transmute the energy with love so divine. Replace our beliefs with pure, direct knowing. Let us perceive truth in our hearts the Holy Spirit is showing. We breathe in golden light as Christ is reborn. With gratitude to God, our true self, we adorn. Our hearts open up. In compassion we're landing. Awareness of being love, we are expanding. All perspectives and reasons for what happened then are serving God's purpose and the divine plan. We are welcomed home to paradise in our one heart. As we bring peace to earth, we're doing our part. Surrendering to God's will, we allow love to flow. We've traded in beliefs to see truth in love's eternal glow. As we all tune in heartward to the same love frequency, we each express our divinity in perfect harmony. The end is only the beginning when you open your heart. For more inspiration, please go to Smile, Spiritual Miracles, Intentional Living Education at www.smileforlove.com. God bless you.
on. That was lovely too. You're very creative and say the kinds of
Yeah,
things that people need to hear. I
they're
think
fun.
so. And,
So this decree is about awakening humanity, and this will
oh,
accelerate the awakening of humanity. Okay.
all right.
All right.
All right.
Dear Almighty Father God, we are one. We call forth the light, wisdom, peace, and love of Jesus, Archangel Michael, and all the archangels, angels, light beings, masters, and all saints and sages of all times. We invoke your holy presence and bless your infinite commanding light of truth as we acknowledge the presence of the dazzling white light of God within ourselves and each other. We invoke the violet flame of limitless transmutation. We are pillars of light, alchemizing consciousness wherever we are. And there's 3 parts. So that was the first part. The second part, we are one with pure divine love. We are one with the infinite intelligence of the universe, with God's mind, with divine thought. We ask to relieve humanity of all pain, suffering, and oppression. We intend that all reach a state of peace and receptivity. Let each one awaken to the highest vibration of love through open hearts, and also open up to the truth of all nefarious agendas and manufactured perceptions and illusions. As each soul awakens, we see them receiving our light and our love. We see each soul standing up to oppressive forces with the passion from the spirit within. We see each one blessed by the Holy Spirit that fires the passion for truth and righteousness. We see each one realizing their true self, the I am presence within. We see each one attaining Christ consciousness. We see all of the prodigal children who choose darkness and evil practices removed, restrained and detained and removed from the planet and from positions of power. Only those that match the vibrational frequency of the new heaven on earth may remain. All are invited, and we hold a space of unconditional love for those who wish to turn toward the light. We see each soul rising in vibration and expanding consciousness through the united attunement to the God vibration. Let each soul be receptive to the higher vibrational frequencies of the new light that we are receiving. We are being upgraded, and we receive the light, the cosmic energies of this upgrade being activated, our DNA activated, and everything, all of our perceptions that are dormant being reactivated. We are masters. We realize and celebrate true self-realization and the sense of freedom accompanying the identity as a sovereign soul connected to the oneness of spirit. And the last part is the conclusion. We accept with full faith that our intentions have been received into the very heart of God. We thank you, Holy Spirit, for all that we receive, all that we give, and the enlightenment and empowerment that we receive through our souls. We accept our part to play in the divine plan. We hear and follow your guidance. We maintain the God vibration in our hearts and minds. And we know that these supplications coming from our hearts of compassion are expressions of love from God. With deep eternal gratitude, we release these intentions to Almighty Father God, the hierarchy of angels, archangels, and angels, light beings, the masters, saints, and sages that selflessly work to uplift humanity. By the power of the inner Christ, we decree that this is done, and so it is. Amen. Namaste.
So be it. So it is. I decree
And
it.
so it is.
And so it is.
We are united and we are powerful.
And we are here to tell you that and get you to know it from your heart. I almost said believe, so I didn't. We have been so trained with our language too.
That's it. And we're changing our language. And so we're changing belief to knowing the truth. And we're changing faith to hope to faith to knowing. So we create our knowing, we go to that knowing part of our soul, which is our highest intelligence, and that's our evolution. And we are in a love revolution, and evolution is the solution. That's what I say.
I like that. Evolution is the solution.
Yes.
So remember that. Please like and share this video.
Love you all.
Let's see if I can do it again. I always do it funny. Whoosh. Love to everyone.
Yay.
Be happy. Don't worry.
Yeah, I like that.
Things are going to get so much better. Let the stuff fall on the, that's happening, all that. It's got to collapse. But what's coming afterwards?
Yeah, it's what we create. It's going to be heaven on earth, peace on earth, abundance for all.
Yes, everybody. Nobody's left out. So
thank you, Gail.
With that in mind.
Thank you. God bless you.
Thank you, Michelle, for the wonderful God-inspired words that you come up with. So, and thank you, everyone. We'll see you again next week on Soul Talk Saturday, but we might switch it to Soul Talk Sunday. So just watch on the weekend for our show, because sometimes we might have to juggle things around because life gets in the way sometimes. But it's going to be, we'll be back, and it's going to be a wonderful life. You just keep thinking that way, because we create our own reality.
Yes, we do.
Remember that. Alrighty then. See you next week, everyone. Love you.
Bye.
We have found our way. It's a brand new day, and we'll be making history. Are you with me? Won't you stay? We have come so far. This is who we are. And like the rising sun, we have just begun to play our part. This is the time we form the chorus. Lift your voice for those before us. We can rely on one another. Feel the pride, let's show our colors.
Goodbye, everyone. I didn't turn this off soon enough. So see you again next week.